Have you ever feared something so much that it affects your day-to-day activities, hindering you from what you want to do or accomplish? Does this fear hold any justifiable reason for you to be afraid of whatever it is you may be afraid of? If not, then you have a phobia, which is not to worry because many people have them, including me. According to Johns Hopkins University, more than 19 million Americans suffer from one or more phobias ranging from mild to severe. So it's more common than you might think. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What exactly is a phobia? Well, a phobia is an irrational fear of something that poses no imminent danger. That's not to say all fear is irrational, like if someone were trying to harm you or such. But to the person experiencing that phobia, the danger can feel as real as that. For example, I don't know if you've ever seen clips on YouTube of people reacting to videos that expose their phobias in the video, but in those videos you can see the distress in that person and how they feel towards viewing such content. Even though the certain things in the video that they fear are not out to get them, feel so real to them that it causes them to have an anxiety attack while watching. A good thing to remember is that phobias stem from two ways, either from genetics or environmental factors. Let me explain. For someone who has parents that have, say, thalassophobia, then they too have a high chance that they might have it themselves through genetics, whereas someone who had a traumatic first-hand experience with deep water may get that phobia just from that experience alone, hence environmental factors. Even though the creation of a phobia can vary from person to person, the treatment for it is still the same. So, I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the video, I mentioned that I myself have a phobia. And that is true. But what is also true is that I used to have two. In 2015, I went to San Francisco to see some of my family members for the holidays. And one of the first things we had on the itinerary was to go and see the Golden Gate Bridge. So we're driving over to the place where you park your car so you can walk the bridge, which was past the bridge, so not on the city side, but on the other side. So to get to our destination, we had to go under the bridge. And it was at that moment that I realized just how tall the support beams were on that bridge. But I was doing alright because it was just something that I noticed, and besides, I was protected by the car because I was inside, so I didn't linger on that realization for too long. So we get to the other side of the bridge, and we park the car and head down to the sidewalk entrance of the bridge. And it was there, at ground level, standing near the support beams of the bridge, that my legs felt unsteady, and my heart just started racing. It felt like those beams were just gonna give in at any moment and just fall on me somehow. Even though I knew it was all in my head, it felt so real. Like, I'm not kidding when I say it, but I was terrified of those support beams at just how tall they were. And that fear hindered me from walking the bridge. I lost an experience that I could have had all because I was afraid of tall beams. It sounds silly, I know, but it was then that I figured out that I had megalophobia, which is the fear of tall structures. So, 2 years passed and it was announced that my elementary choir was going to New York. And I just couldn't wait for this trip. I was very excited, but at the same time, I also remembered my whole little incident at San Francisco. And I knew that in New York City, I would be 10 times worse than how I reacted on the Golden Gate Bridge. So a couple months later, we go on the trip, and I made sure on the first day to expose myself to what I was afraid of. Even going as far as to leaning up against the One World Trade Center, which if you didn't know, is the largest building in the Northern Hemisphere. And it was then, looking up at the One World Trade Center, me at ground level, seeing that massive structure, it was then that I conquered my fear, my phobia. And so, to you, the viewer, it's not impossible. You can do it. Like if I was able to do it for one of mine, surely you can too. Now, I say one of mine because to this day I still am an arachnophobe. But I'm working on it, little by little. I won't lie to you, it's not easy, but far from impossible. expose yourself to what you are afraid of. Again, little by little. Take it easy at first and then gradually increase your exposure. From that, you'll become desensitized and ultimately lose that phobia entirely. Along with exposure therapy, meditation also helps. Meditating is a good treatment to realize that the phobia was all in your head. It truly is. It's really all in your head. Anyways, that's everything I got. Thank you for the support in the last video and for taking yet another pause in your life with me. And I hope to see you around.